A Main Street renovation reveals some lost artwork. You will soon see a mural on the east end of Main Street in Hyannis. And we have an update on the Wastewater Resources Advisory Committee. These stories and more on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Thursday, April 21st, 2016. I'm Sarah Mantle. A piece of history is found buried beneath 7 layers of walls in an old Hyannis building. Channel 18's Sarah Colvin has the story.
Renovations are underway at the former Tommy Doyle's restaurant on Main Street in Hyannis. Crews are transforming the building into Katie's Burger Bar. During demolition, murals that are believed to be painted by prolific local artist Vernon Coleman were revealed. Gloria Coleman, the widow of Vernon's son, toured the building today.
I was so thrilled. I picked up my paper at 5:30 this morning, and I just looked at that before I read the article, and I said, Mr. Coleman's paintings. And, well, just made me smile. He always was. And you know, the thing was, Vern would tell me someone would admire his work, and maybe it was a friend or just an acquaintance, and he would give it to them. He'd take it off the wall and give it to them. I thought that was interesting. Vern said that's why he never made much money.
I guess he could always paint another.
The paintings were part of the decor of the original Mayflower restaurant, which opened on Main Street, Hyannis in the 1930s. But because the paintings were done directly on the old horsehair plaster, they are virtually impossible to move and will likely not be saved or covered up to be discovered once again sometime in the future. Katie's, by the way, is anticipating a Memorial Day opening. For Channel 18, I'm Sarah.
The Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission approves a planned mural on the east end of Main Street. The mural will be painted on the Bradford Hardware Building. Artist Mary Anna Grusty presented plans to the commission
this project
this week.
Comes from a lot of interest in investing in the identity of the east end of Main Street from a lot of different points of view. As an architect, I understand that it has a lot of cultural currency and a lot of value in the architecture. Last year, through a resident, Dominic Alessandra, I was brought to my attention that there was a lot of interesting things going on in the neighborhood that maybe people hadn't thought of collectively as a potential identity for that place. As a relatively new member of the community, only about 7 years, I thought, well, this will be really fun. It'll be a way for me to get to know the neighborhood. So I created this map, which I'm happy to pass around. These have been posted around the neighborhood.
Okay.
These were done last year. They are going to be put at the Shanties at the Maritime Museum, which was our partner in the project, as well as Care for the Cape. So these are, again, nonprofit sponsored projects helping us give an identity to the East End. This was very well received, and so we were encouraged to build upon that project, and that's where this art installation comes from. There had already been some talk with the Carrie Abelli about maybe doing something lovely on the side of their building. So here we have a proposal for an art installation that highlights that corner of the cash block, which I know you all are familiar with its significance in the neighborhood. And the idea is to put a work of art there. We hesitate to call it a mural, although it's a large painting, but we really want it to be perceived as a work of art. We've commissioned 2 local artists, in addition to myself, to actually paint the project professionally. And it will incorporate the facts that are already on the map. And so as you see submitted on the elevation, the history would be located at the corner, which would be visible and eye-catching from when you're walking along Main Street. And then these silhouetted figures, which bring to life the neighborhood and remind us that in addition to being about the architecture, it's also about the people who lived there and who lived there. And so these silhouetted figures are painted onto the panels, and then they continue to walk right off the panel and are silhouetted and mounted right on the architecture. We think this will be a great selfie opportunity for people who are walking around the neighborhood. The project has received So far, community support, it's being paid for in full by donations from local businesses. Everybody from K-Bear to Home Depot to Bradford's have donated materials in kind, and we have raised enough money to actually compensate the artist fairly for
the Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission unanimously approved that project. The Water Resources Advisory Committee continues its work. This week, the committee heard from Ed Eichner, a water research scientist with the University of Massachusetts.
So if we look at overall the summary of where we are right now, there's data available on 38 of the 182 ponds. Data is skewed towards the worst water quality conditions. That's because most of that data really is through the PALs. 16 ponds have average DO concentrations below state minimum standards. 35 of the ponds, 35 out of the 38, have total phosphorus concentrations above that Cape Cod limit. And so basically the indication is that there's pervasive water quality problems in most of the ponds in Barnstable. Now, I went back and I looked through sort of the recommendations, and these are a bit of a modification of what I recommended originally. One of the things that we've sort of talked about, and I've talked to some of the DPW folks about this, is, as well as the Conservation Commission, is developing some sort of initial management goals, just sort of a list on one sheet of what those management goals are for a particular pond. Now, some ponds are going to have a lot more management goals that may be beyond water quality. Things like how a boat ramp is used, you know, whether there's bass fishing at 5 a.m., those sorts of things, whether you get jet skis or not. But my suggestion would be that you go through and do that, and that would represent a framework where you could start to move then into discussion of how to address those goals. Develop an integrated long-term management and assessment program. Integrated in the sense that I would suggest that you continue to do something along the lines of PALs, do a one-time snapshot to sort of have a long-term data set, but integrate that with detailed assessments of individual ponds as you go through and develop management goals. And think about developing nutrient limits for ponds or groups of ponds. That would help give you some of, you know, the goals for what's going to fit into the management. And then look at what you've got in terms of your local regulations. Some of your local regulations may actually be tweaked a little bit, and you get to some sort of long-term water quality.
Assistant DPW Director Rob Steen requested the committee specify their data needs as they move towards developing solutions. The committee will meet again May 18th. We'll be sure to tune in to our hour-long news program, Barnstable This Morning, weekdays at 8 a.m. On tomorrow's show, we will have our weekly arts and culture segment. We'll chat with Director of Leisure Services, Patty Machado. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mantle.